They did it. Four years, 3 finals, 2 chokes, 1 win, baby. 1 win. They did it. I just witnessed PaperX win their first trophy. I don't even know where to start. Bro. So that was me right after PaperX had won VCT Masters Toronto. Now, I wasn't able to film my full match recap video while I was there because the press conferences were happening, and obviously after those are done, then I gotta go. And then I wanted to enjoy my last official night in Toronto. So filming it now, day after, had some time to reflect, had some time to digest, and they did it. They did it. They actually found a way to do it. I guess I just had to be in the building for them to be able to do it. I guess that's all that needed to happen. Kidding, of course. But it was a very special moment to see live. I'm very happy with how the event went, with all the people that I met, with all the matches that I saw. None of the matches that were in the top 4 weekend went to like as long as they could have. Both of the Friday matches were 2-0s, and then the Saturday match, which I haven't talked about, so I'll talk about it a little bit in this video, but Wolves versus Fnatic was 3-1, and then of course the grand finals, PaperX versus Fnatic, was also 3-1. And I guess that's kind of just how it had to go, because PaperX, when they lost at Champions, they lost in 4 maps, and if I remember correctly, the last map that they played was Lotus. They had to exercise some demons of the past to be able to win this whole thing, and they ended up doing it. Like, they beat G2, team that beat them at Shanghai. They beat Fnatic, a team that beat them at Tokyo. They almost completely blew it against Team Liquid before having to, win it in overtime. And yeah, we were basically one Patatek whiff away from some other team winning this whole tournament. It's really insane how close the margins are and how little moments like that can really change the way of the whole tournament. So before we get into PaperX versus Fnatic in the grand final, I do quickly just want to talk about Wolves versus Fnatic because it is my goal to cover every single international match this year, so gotta do it. But I will keep it very brief because this lower final was pretty lopsided. Wolves were able to kind of make scores closer later in the game, later in map 1, but for the most part, it was basically all Fnatic. Something that Wolves have been really good at doing at this tournament is comebacks. The tournament has been great for like comeback matches. So many different matches had teams come back from a huge deficit or whatnot, and Wolves were one of the teams that was able to do that, but Fnatic is a pretty experienced team where that's pretty hard to do that against them. They're very good at keeping their composure in those big moments, and that's kind of what happened versus Wolves. Because Fnatic on split would end up going 10-2 with Chronicle and Crash just absolutely feasting on them. Both players having very, very good tournaments. Chronicle, if Fnatic had won, was probably in the MVP conversation. I think it probably would have went to Alphair though, which would make a ton of sense because he was great. But Chronicle was also fantastic. However, after that 10-2 half, Wolves were able to bring it back a little bit on their attack side on split, winning 6 rounds in a row, but Fnatic would steal it right back, winning rounds 19 and 20, and that would basically end it for them, winning at round 22, ending this one 13-9. Sprain being the top fragger for Wolves. He definitely had a slow start to this match, even though he was technically the top fragger, but he would kind of heat up later on. That's basically why they won map 3. Moving on to Icebox, it was not a similar story. It was a pretty swift and quick 13-4. I think having a very similar first half to what they had in map 1, just 9-3 this time. This time, Kayak doing a very good job at feasting on this team. Him and Boaster were tied with 16 kills on this one. Very impressive work from Kayak here. He also had a great tournament, could have been in the MVP conversation as well. And then Wolves only able to win 1 round on their defense side. That was the pistol, but then the anti-eco was stolen from them. Fnatic went 4 in a row to end this one. Spring yet again being the only one positive on Wolves here, but he was only +1. So when I was saying that it took him a while to heat up, this is kind of what I'm talking about, is that he was the top frag for the team, he was the best performer, but overall he's shown a lot better throughout this tournament, and maybe if he, as well as players like Lysor and YU, played a little bit better, then they would probably have made this maybe go to 5 maps, but Fnatic is just very experienced, and they went to the grand final and did a good job there, so hard to really tell. But then Lotus would be Wolf stealing this one, this being a map that Fnatic historically has been very good on, but at times can be up and down for them. We'll talk more about that in the grand final match, but Wolves did do a lot better here. Sprain heating up at this point. 26 kills on the map for him. He was +15. Some very solid plays from him. Definitely looking a lot better. Wolves a lot more composed during this map. Juicy as well. Heating up, talking about players that started slow in this match, he did as well, but he looked a lot better in this one, 21 kills. Juicy definitely has the talent out to be a very good duelist player, but in this tournament, the one thing about him is that he's been a bit inconsistent. So that is one thing that if Wolves are going to continue to qualify for international tournaments, that's going to be something that they're going to want to fix up. But Wolves ended up tying the half 6-6 to the first half, so much better than the previous two first halves. However, Fnatic do yet again win the pistol and the anti-eco, but then Wolves doing a good job to have a solid attack side on that Lotus map. A map that in the past was basically all attacker side, but then I feel like is kind of shifted to defender side. It's very odd, but in this match it was more attacker. Best performer on this map for Fnatic was definitely Alpha with 19 kills. He was +2, although Crashies did have a better rating with 1.09. However, moving on to Ascent, it would be all Fnatic yet again, 13-5 win. Pretty swift win here. Wolves would do well to win the pistol as well as the anti-eco, but then Fnatic just stealing the momentum right back, just not letting Wolves get set. Wolves at this tournament seemed very momentum-based. When they got that momentum back, they were able to dominate whatever team they were playing. However, Fnatic is a team that can shut down other teams doing that momentum. They are incredibly experienced. The amount of trophies that are on that team from an individual level, just looking at each player, is insane. And they have done that by pushing through that adversity and stopping teams in their tracks when they're trying to get the momentum back. Because Valorant is a very momentum-based game, so definitely got to watch out for that. But the half ends up being 8-4, so all the maps that Wolves ended up losing were either 10-2 first half or 9-3 or 8-4. So those slow starts to maps definitely not helping Wolves' case here. And Alpha on the Chamber on this Ascent map just absolutely destroying them. He had 22 kills, he was +10. And yeah, it was just a quick first half. Then the second half, Wolves just really could not do much of anything. Fnatic win that second pistol. Wolves get one at round 15, 3 in a row from Fnatic, and this one's over. Okay, so I was talking about Wolves versus Fnatic. How about the grand final? PaperX winning 3-1 versus Fnatic. This is a very classic matchup in Valorant. These two teams typically haven't faced each other too many times. Before this match, they had faced each other twice. These two teams being around for a very long time, both have history of choking. Fnatic, of course, pushing through that choking in 2023 by winning back-to-back tournaments. PaperX had yet to win a tournament up until this point, and it had been a long time. This is their third grand final. Fnatic winning their second grand final at lock-in, this one being their fourth grand final, so they're now 2-2. Man, it just seemed like they just said enough is enough. We're winning this. They were composed, they weren't nervous. When Fnatic would get a lead, they would be able to bring it back. A lot of these maps, how they were going at certain points during the match, if this is PaperX from 2023, from 2022, they lose it, absolutely. But they've been in these positions before. They know what to expect. They know how to swing the momentum back in their favor. And some incredible plays from Devi, Forsaken, Jane, all these players just having incredible matches. And some great performances by Fnatic too. This was a 4-map game, but this was probably the closest 4-map game I've ever seen. Scorelines being decided by 1 or 2 rounds on each map. It was just very hard for any team to really get that far ahead. So looking at map 1, we have Sunset, and PaperX having that double map ban definitely helped them here. It didn't help them in previous grand finals, but this time it was absolutely crucial. But being able to start on Sunset, play Pearl later in the match, and do a pretty good job on Icebox despite losing that one, and then of course ending the match on Lotus, exercising their demons from 2023. Anyway, Sunset, it didn't look like they were going to win this one at first because Fnatic had a very good start. Fnatic did great in pistols. PaperX did not do well in pistols at all this match. I'll get to that later when we look at the economy, but Forsaken and Devi had to do a lot of heavy lifting to keep PaperX in this map. After Fnatic won the first 4 rounds in a row, PaperX would not drop a round for the rest of the half, winning 8 rounds in a row on that attack side, just looking absolutely dominant. Again, a very favorable map for them, and Devi on that stage definitely helping out a lot. Something would have his struggles during this map and in others, but he would do a phenomenal job in map 4. We'll get to that. But players like Alpha and Kayak having really, really good maps here. Alpha with 23, Kayak with 24, and a great end to the first half from PaperX, putting them in that lead. Crowd behind them. The crowd was probably a split of like 65-35, 70-30, that kind of split. But that momentum that they got at the second half, again, just kept their composure when Fnatic went up 4-0. It was great to see. Again, PaperX of past probably loses map, especially because Fnatic would win that second pistol and the anti-eco, so not a great start to the second half for PaperX yet again, and PaperX would really struggle to find any rounds until round 20. They did win one at round 15, so stealing the bonus, but then 4 in a row from Fnatic would basically make this one a tough hill to climb for PaperX. So that being very crucial, that long streak they went on in the first half, that giving them the advantage even if Fnatic would end up tying the game. And Fnatic trying to tie the game, they win round 23, but round 24, PaperX go up 1-0. And then we have Icebox, this being probably the most interesting and telling map of this entire match. Because Fnatic would win this one, but they had to do it in overtime. 17-15 being that final scoreline, but honestly, Fnatic should have won this one way earlier. It would be an even half, PaperX continuing their momentum from winning map 1 by winning the first 4 rounds in a row. So finally doing well on a pistol round, that wouldn't continue. But then Fnatic ended up stringing together some rounds, again, just some huge plays from Kayak, from Crashies. A lot of their players were locked in and playing pretty clutch. Even Alpha, who didn't go positive, still got 25 kills in this map. And it looked like Fnatic were going to get away with this one pretty early, especially because in the second half, they ended up winning the first 4 rounds of that half. PaperX stealing one at round 17, but then Fnatic win 2 more in a row on some retakes to bring it to map point. However, this is where the tide would start to turn, because PaperX, again, they're composed. They're not nervous. They've been in this situation before. They've been at big deficits before. It was a scoreline of 12-7, and they were able to tie the game. Fnatic were up. They really should have closed this one out at any of those rounds from round 20 to round 24. But they weren't able to. PaperX just locked the hell in. They played so much better, just getting some amazing plays from Jhin, from Devi, even from Batman. Just some great performances by these PaperX players who have been in these spots before and just really wanted to get this one done. And then we have an incredibly close overtime, very back and forth. Fnatic win the first one, PaperX tie, and then win the next one, so now they're at map point. So that would have been a disaster for Fnatic, but they do end up winning one, and then they win another one, so now they're at map point. It's just incredibly back and forth. It's incredibly close. The margins are super slim. And then eventually, Fnatic get it done. But what I could tell when I was there at the match was when Fnatic walked off stage, they weren't happy. They just won the map, but I looked at Boaster specifically, and Boaster did not have a very good match during this grand final, but they just won the map. And he looks sad. He looks mad. And I know it's probably mostly at himself and not his team, but you just won the map. He was clearly rattled, and it clearly was affecting him. And, you know, there's the assumption and the implication that he was dealing with something, maybe some sickness. He said he maybe could have had one more day, but unfortunately for him, that's not how the tournament format worked. And I'm not saying this to like dunk on Boaster or say that he was the reason why Fnatic lost or anything, but he just did not seem to keep the energy up in the way that he's been able to throughout this entire tournament. And that, I think, was kind of a key difference in Fnatic versus matches previously in this tournament. PaperX, a team that were able to, push through that adversity. They wanted to finally get this one done. Fnatic, a team that had been in this position before, been a while since they've been in it, but still they've been in it before. And while a lot of their players were locked in, Boaster just couldn't really get himself going. And it was such a close match. Again, it was 4 maps, so not as close as it could have been, but it was just so close that, yeah, maybe if Boaster's playing a little bit better, maybe Fnatic win. Again, I'm not putting the entire match on him. It's not. But, when you have players like Alpha shooting very hard, Chronicle playing great as well, Kayak, some bad maps here and there, but still playing really great, it is unfortunate to see that Boaster stats just ended up not being very good. And then we move on to Pearl. So this one being a bad map for seemingly all EMEA teams, and Fnatic admitting that they were not prepared. Their secret weapon was Alpha on the Neon, which did end up working out pretty well, actually. He got 22 kills, he was +3. But Fnatic still ended up losing this one. That was kind of the assumption going into it. That's why that Icebox was basically a must-win, because if they didn't win that one, then you're kind of screwed. But Fnatic, yet again, winning the pistol. PaperX still just, God, they were so bad at pistols during the match. How did they win? But PaperX, after the anti-eco, get the lead. It's 3-2. They're feeling pretty good, but then Fnatic, again, just swing that momentum back in their favor. 4 rounds in a row. Big plays from Alpha, and they end up being in the lead, and that was like, oh man, if Fnatic end up winning Pearl, maybe they can win this one. That would be huge for them, but unfortunately, PaperX on their attack side were able to turn the tide, because after Fnatic winning, again, the pistol in the second half, PaperX would win 3 in a row. And that would put them in a great position. While Fnatic would win on a retake in round 18, we have 5 rounds in a row from PaperX to win this one. Just looking dominant in those last 5 rounds, making it look like this map never should have been as close as it ended up being. Devi, Forsaken, time for 20 kills on this one. Alpha, only player that went positive on Fnatic here. He was basically being the hard carry here. He did admit that that was probably what he was going to have to do. Kayak being a bit of a sore spot here. Only 8 kills for him. He was -10 on the Yoru. Pretty unfortunate numbers from him, especially with that double duelist comp. Maybe if he's playing like a little bit better, maybe this one ends up going into overtime. I still don't think Fnatic win it, but again, you need those big time players to be big time players, which Fnatic did have a lot of today, and it's not on any one player, and especially on that last map. Fnatic probably should have won that, but that's just not how it ends up going. So it's just those little margins, those little things of like players getting these amount of kills versus other players, and it's just like, again, things like that could just easily turn the tide. A couple shots here and there, a couple kills here and there. things can turn very quickly. Moving on to map 4, this would prove to be the final match of this grand final. And this is where I was trying to not believe, because again, as I've said in past videos, every time I believe in Paper X, they let me down. You know, just kind of hoping that I would be wrong, and just trying to, I was getting hyped and I was cheering and stuff, but I was also just like, man, I can't fully put my belief in this. Anyway, Paper X with a pretty good sign to start the map. They win that first pistol. So it's like, all right, they finally figured out pistols in this match. Maybe they can win that anti-eco. No, honestly, a pretty bad throw by them. They really had the advantage, and then just Fnatic just kind of got a bunch of kills. But Fnatic, after winning 2 rounds in a row, round 2 and 3, weren't able to string much together. Paper X just looked in the lead. They looked like they wanted this one done. The belief was there. They could feel it. They could taste it. They could smell it. They wanted this one so bad, and from some great plays from Forsaken and Something, as well as Jane getting some very crucial kills on rounds that Fnatic easily could have won. While this first half would end up being a 7-5 lead, so still pretty close, Fnatic just weren't able to go on much of a streak, while Paper X were just really just locked in, not letting much get through on their defense side. And then Fnatic would yet again win the pistol, another time winning it and the anti-eco, and then Paper X won 4 rounds in a row to make them at 11. They are 2 rounds away from winning their first VCT Masters trophy. Again, it's in the air. They can feel it. The crowd can feel it. It's coming. But as you can see from the scoreline, it took them a while to get there, because Fnatic would tie the game by winning 5 rounds in a row, and not only tying the game, but getting to that map point. Really looking like this one is gonna go to a map 5. It's so close. But then Paper X tie the game. It goes into overtime. Paper X win that first one on their defense side. It's right there. It's 1 round away. And then round 26 at the start didn't go very well for them. It really did not. It ended up being a 2v4 situation. Fnatic with the 4, Paper X with the 2, and Paper X's attack side being kind of a problem in this map. So them going on their attack side and starting that round poorly, yeah, it looks like we're gonna go to more overtime. However, Something, man, he didn't always have great maps. He's a pretty inconsistent player at times, but man, he won them the whole thing. An absolutely incredible play from him and the other player, I'm blanking on who it was, but just an amazing side hold on B, looking great. Something gets the final kill, and Paper X won. Forsaken, 23 kills on the Omen here. It was +6. Alpha Year, 29 kills for him. So he was top ranking. He was great, man. Fnatic, if they were going to win, it was going to be because of him. Overall MVPs, now Forsaken did win the tournament MVP, but that is different from like winning the match MVP. Devi ended up having 77 kills, but Forsaken had 81. So in terms of rating, Devi wins, but in terms of kills, Forsaken wins. So I'll choose Forsaken. And of course, Alpha Year, 99 kills in 4 maps, playing 3 separate agents, 2 sentinels, 1 duelist. He was +20. He was insane, and he did make the argument in the press conference that, hey, I heard we can win the MVP even if we lose, so why didn't I win it? And you know what? There's an argument for that there, but he didn't end up getting it. Chronicle also had 75 kills, so he was great too. So that's all I have to talk about with the grand final of Paper X winning against Fnatic. I am just so happy. I do feel bad for Fnatic. They fought really hard this tournament, and they were my pick to win the tournament. So it's kind of win-win for me, because either the team I wanted to win the tournament won, Paper X, or the team I picked to win the tournament won. So either I'm right or I'm happy. I'll take that. That was a pretty good matchup for the grand final for me. But alas, the team I wanted to win won. So I'm just incredibly happy, I'm incredibly proud, and I'm very excited to hopefully attend more VCT events. This was the first one in Canada, so I just had to be there. So I'm very happy that I got to attend. Shout out to Commend, my guy. I was hanging out with him the whole time. I was vlogging the entire time, so there will be a vlog about it. I also want to do a stream talking about just like stories from the event and whatnot. So that'll be the time, and the links to that will be right here in this corner. So that's when it's going to be. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Congratulations, Paper X. GG's to Fnatic. Please click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Comment anything you want, talking about the tournament or anything else. Thank you very much, guys. See you in the next one.